But it's kind of this market is not really the same as what we see in a lot of other markets today. That is not a mass market, but it's highly customizable, where basically every request is different, every budget is different, every taste is different. So you need to be in very close contact with your customers to really understand what they want, listen to them, and adjust your offering accordingly. This kind of flexibility and this kind of engagement with customers, I feel, is very challenging for the Japanese industry.
This is, for me, it's very strange feeling for car industry overseas. Japanese try to fit overseas people to sell their cars. And any other industry, they do not success like a car industry. Right? Electronics, IT industry, everything else, they do not success overseas business. But only car industry success.
Well, it's not only the car industry. I mean, Japan is still doing quite well. But in the consumer-facing market, yeah, they have. I think it's the car industry is by far the best.
Anything else?
Well, they are still like leading in the television and electronics market.
No electronics market anymore overseas.
But okay, others have stepped in, but still Japan is quite dominant in that industry. Okay, we have Koreans that stepped in. We have other countries that are now stepping in, but it's still. Japan is still very much present in this market, I feel.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, but especially in the OEM market, in the component market.
OEM is not actually no customer. This is selling to the.
Well, it's B2B business.
Selling their technology to big IT company.
So components, their Japanese industry is very much present.
But this is a big, issue behind it. Why Japanese is struggling their economy past 30 years?
Well, I think one of the reasons probably is that the industry is changing, and the reason why Japan got where they were 30 years ago was because they actually were cost leaders. They did something that other countries didn't do. Actually, they actually brought better and better quality, whereas. At a price point that was very attractive versus the other nations. So they brought the same product at a lower price and at higher quality price point. So that was basically an offer you couldn't refuse. But that model has been copied by other countries. Korea followed Japan, and then other nations started to follow. But it was basically for Japan a race down the bottom. So what should have happened then is Japan should have moved into the services industry and into the more customizable market, trying to create a unique advantage, for example, in terms of building a brand, building up a philosophy, starting to outsource production to outside of Japan and sourcing their materials from lower cost countries. But this was very difficult because of communication challenges.
Communication.
Right, because basically the Japanese domestic market had been modeled for the successes of the Japanese economy post World War II. It was first sold in the Japanese market, and it was successful there. And it was because of the high demands and the demand for quality. this actually spurred Japanese manufacturers to always improve and improve and improve. But the Japanese demand is no longer model for the demand in the rest of the world, because Japan has grown economically, and they no longer need to serve people with in Japan. Most people have average to high income, and that's not the reality. That's not where the opportunities lie in the rest of the world.
Japanese GDP, compared with the rest of the world, smaller year by year. Why?
Right.
$36,000 per person is not top end, already middle high.
Right, but it's still quite it's still quite okay.
But why year by year they just ranking going down year by year? How come?
It's good enough, and because they never made the jump to actually become a serious global player. The industry, the markets have changed. The markets demand more, like the consumer market. They don't want to buy a one-size-fits-all product. They want a product that satisfies their needs in terms of budget, in terms of technology, in terms of taste. So you need to be there. You need to be able to communicate and understand your customers. You need to be able to make compromises in order to meet your customer demands. But I believe that was not the strong point of the Japanese industry to begin with. The strong point was that actually they had this very demanding market, and the need to produce goods for demanding customers at an attractive price point. That was that could easily those products could easily be sold outside of Japan, but that changed because Japanese customers got more affluent. They were no longer seeking for a low price point, and as such, also the Japanese industry changed because they were only looking at Japanese domestic market, not the global market, because in their experience, if it works in Japan, it will work across the world. Well, guess what? It didn't work all over the world anymore.
Japan, okay, it's my observation is Japanese product is very high skill, high level. But the problem is communication with rest of the world people. Many people don't know Japanese technology, Japanese skilled product.
Right.
Or sales power, sales force power, sales force.
You mean what do you mean when you say sales force power?
It means like a Takahashi, he's selling in Vietnam, right? Japanese product, or Japanese IT or whatsoever. But not many people like Takahashi type of person in the world.
Right. You if you want to succeed in sales anywhere in the world, you will need to go out and understand what these people want before you can satisfy their needs. If you don't know what their needs are and you're just going to offer them a product that has not been tested in that market, that may not appeal to these people. They say, okay, well, I want the same product but at a lower price point, or I want to have it in a different color, or if you never meet eye to eye with your customers, you will not understand their needs.
Few people can do that. Right? If many Japanese people go outside, if many Japanese go outside and can sell Japanese product and skills and technology, I think situation will going to be changed. But like a political issue is the same. Every time Japanese never explain what we are, who we are. So every time Korean people win, Chinese people win for their propaganda. Japanese are very poor for advertising.
But you say Chinese, you say Korean, but there's another very fundamental difference is that they are actually there. They go outside, they engage, they especially Koreans, they commit, they go for the long term, they submerge themselves into a culture that is fundamentally different.
They are very willing to go overseas.
Not from the understanding that, okay, we need to fulfill the customers at home. No. Our customers are the customers in this country. So in order for me to actually be successful, I will need to understand, go there, understand, learn, and adjust accordingly in order to become a viable partner.
Korean people does know their domestic market is so small, not like Japan. So they understand they need to go outside to sell their product.
That's exactly one of the reasons why people in the Netherlands have been so, on the average, so skilled in communication, because the country is just too small. It's just actually an advantage if you live in a small country, because it will force you to go out. It's necessary. It's the same thing as countries. A lot of countries who are very rich in terms of natural resources, they could afford to lay back and not focus on industrialization, their services development, etc.
That's right. We need to study your country. Your Dutch people go outside for selling your country and your product, right?
Yes.
Japanese people, they do not. This is one big difference. You don't have resources, right?
But Takashi-san, can I ask you, because actually you work a lot in Southeast Asia, there are actually a lot of Japanese people who go outside. I mean, there is an army of Japanese who live in Singapore. Probably in Vietnam, you will know quite a few people.
Right. Yeah. So the difference is how you're working. So it's not small. The Japanese people are working there. So quite a lot of people, maybe it's not small army, but mostly it's expatriates. Is supposed to work in office because they were sent to the local office to manage local people. So probably there are sales of local people. Then there are some Japanese who supervise the local people, who is doing sales, who is doing accounting. So I'm not sure I'm 100% correct, but they're mainly in charge of doing administration work.
Right, and is so if that is true, then is it fair to say that the majority of the people who work overseas are people who are engaged in business process outsourcing? So not in gaining new markets, not in developing new business, but in actually trying to do what they would normally do in Japan, but then at a lower cost point?
That's one way. The another way, the thing you would really know, the they coming together with working under the government initiative like the ODA. They are going out, they are staying overseas, but they are working under Japanese umbrella,
Right.
which is made by ODA. So they can, in ODA, consultant is assigned from Japanese company. And then the discussion is made in Japanese, so you can work like you work in Japan.
It
And
means
sometimes,
Right. Right. It means Japanese company truly involved in local market, right? Many
Less
company relied on ODA, so government umbrella they are surviving.
they're taken that way in terms of the risk management. So sometimes the emerging market is given the foreign companies the unfair condition and sometimes asking them to do something something under the table, then the payment is not guaranteed. Actually, it depends on how much trust and relationship and local network you have, but they hesitate to do it. They hesitate to do it as they did before. So they're getting more hesitated to do it locally.
Right.
But
So it's
my
basically-
question, Takashi, I have a question. How are we going to improve our involvement in local market to extend our business in Asia? How are we going to do?
As we're doing. So we're doing is not so common in Japanese culture, Japanese companies, but to share some experience and idea that, for example, that it is able to do with your network, then not so much our attention shouldn't be taken by Japanese headquarters. They're the two senior people who doesn't understand the overseas business development.
What we should do?
Sorry.
What we should do? My concern is Japan is no growth their GDP past 3 decades. This is not only the domestic market development, but also Japan no growth outside Japan. They cannot sell their product overseas because my concern is overseas salesperson, Japanese overseas salesperson. Not many, not like you. This is, I think, the big reason, not the language. I think we Japanese company never make advertisement overseas customers or potential customers. Also, we don't have a good relationship with Western people like Ed. Very few connection, few network. So we don't have a connection. Is it?
Having away for a long time from the traditional practice in Japanese companies. And Yeah, it's one difference is I'm not putting the first priority on the promotion in the company. As long as we stick with our demand to get promoted in the company through the existing process, prepared by the company, I think we never be able to fight overseas. So even there will be outside of Japan or some engagement of the project. So it doesn't mean you actually putting yourself in overseas context. So working overseas, but still the mindset is attached to Japanese culture, Japanese companies, the practice.